Okay, I'm going to show you one of my favourite ever lunches. We start with the cauliflower, which you chop into chunks. And then you get a spice mix, which is a tablespoon of cumin, smoked paprika, garlic powder and onion powder. And you basically put a good glug of olive oil and all those spices over your cauliflower. Massage it in a kind of sensual, loving way, and whack that in the oven at 200 degrees for 35 minutes. You'll notice I use foil and baking powder because I hate washing up. Same spice mix for the chickpeas, as well as a little bit of salt in there as well. Give that a nice little stir. Add that to a baking tray. Put it on the shelf below your cauliflower and do that for about 30 minutes. Dice up your onion, tomatoes, and curly leaf parsley, finely chopped. Get all of that in a delicious bowl together and mix it together with a juice of a single lemon. Just look how colourful this looks. It's one of my favourite things. Squeeze that lemon in there. Bit of salt, bit of pepper, bit of olive oil. Mix it together until it looks absolutely delicious. This is going to be the base of your dish, right? Hummus. About half a tub there. Sensually squish it round the bowl and top it off with that little mix that you just made. Is this tabbouleh? I don't know. Anyway, we add our roasted cauliflower on top of that. On top of that, we add our crispy chickpeas, which are absolutely delicious on their own. And then on top of that, some pomegranate seeds. And then you take it away and you consume it before lighting yourself a delicious fire. This is going to be a vlog about fire and food and overindulging. I hope you guys enjoy it. Stick around for the bit where it's me talking. Let me know if you make this recipe, and also don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I'd love to have you as part of the community. There's lots more of this kind of content as well as my usual gaming content coming along. So check this out. Let's talk about food. Honestly, there's nothing I like more than being well fed and then sitting by a fire. And I don't do it enough. I like setting fires, but the kind of legal ramifications of doing that in the wrong place they're just too significant for me to even consider doing it. I want to go out into the wilderness and, you know, have a wild campfire. Even wild camping has its own problems, right? I think that's possible though, but you're really not supposed to leave any trace. So, you know, go in and light a fire in the middle of the Peak District. It's just not allowed. But I'd like to do it. You know, have a place where I can, you know, go for the night, light a fire on the ground. You know, like you see the outdoor boys do. But, you know, I feel like there's an actual risk of death with him because he's like fully going out into the Alaskan wilderness. I'll just not settle for that. But anyway, today I wanted to share a little bit with you about what I'm aiming to eat more like. The meal I just showed you is one of my favourites, right? And it's great because it's all whole foods, it's all plant-based. I'm a vegan, I have to get that into every conversation. But just simple, delicious, and quick to do. And that's kind of what I want to be trying to eat in that kind of fashion. Not that meal, but that kind of fashion the majority of the time. And I'm pretty close to that. You know, we eat pretty good food. But this past week, and the reason I'm talking about this is, I don't know what it is, I've just been veering towards like overconsumption. Been veering towards just eating too much. And I don't know why that is. I've always had this within me, right? This propensity to binge, this need to just like overconsume. And if it starts, it's like, you know, it's an unstoppable object. It just will fire through me. I have to be so careful. And what I have to be really careful of, and this is a mistake I made in the past, is, you know, often you might have a bad moment, and that bad moment could turn into a bad hour. That bad hour can turn into a bad day. That bad day can turn into a bad week. And that's how I've gained weight again in the past, because I've allowed a bad moment to become a bad week, to become a bad month. And slowly I'll slip and, you know, put weight on again. But I don't know what it is about my relationship with food. I don't know what it is about
this past week, because I felt pretty good aside from that. You know, I'm not feeling as sick. The sickness is starting to kind of tail away. My cough's getting a lot better. You know, I'm sure this smoky fire will help that. But yeah, I've just been wanting to munch on everything, and here's the interesting thing about it, right? And the difficulty with like food as a source of satisfaction is there is never enough food for me to fill whatever it is I'm trying to fill. There is never enough food for me to like satisfy myself. That's what it's been for the past week. It's been insatiable. Generally speaking, right, the way my diet works is, and this is not a recommendation to anyone else, so you figure out your own way, but I intermittent fast, which means between about 8 or 9 p.m. In the evening and about 12 in the afternoon the next day, I don't really consume anything apart from black coffee, or more recently I've been having a bit of lemon and honey because I've not been well, lemon and ginger and honey. And then I'll tend to have a lunch, which will be something like you've just seen, or a soup, or something quite manageable, not too big, fairly healthy. And then a dinner, and we have a pretty solid rotation of what we have for dinner. It will either be a curry with some rice or some homemade like flatbread. It will be a callaloo with some beans and some rice maybe. If we're feeling a bit adventurous, might have some fried dumplings with that. It will be like a stir-fry dish, lots of veg, maybe a bit of tofu in there. And then after dinner, we might have some lunch. On a Friday or a Saturday, we might have a chocolate bar. It's all, very, very basic. And if I'm feeling particularly hungry, sometimes I'll have a breakfast and kind of break that fast early. Or if I'm feeling hungry throughout the day, I might have a snack on stuff. But generally speaking, I try to not do that and try to keep my meals quite light. And that's what's allowed me to kind of maintain my weight pretty well for the past 3 years or so. Like, this is the longest period I've gone where I haven't put on any significant weight. Part of the reason for that, though, is that I'll become better at noticing when I'm slipping and trying to correct myself, so I'm not allowing those bad moments to become bad weeks. But this week, I had a sausage batch. A batch is a bread roll. For anyone who doesn't know, a vegan sausage roll, like batch bread roll for breakfast yesterday, and I had a sausage sandwich today. I've been a lot more snacky with like things like crisps and stuff, just struggling to control some of those more kind of base instincts to just eat. And maybe that's what it comes from. Maybe it's that base instinct to just eat while we can because we don't know when we're going to get food next. Eat while we can because, you need to build those fat stores for winter. My other theory is that I've got sympathy menstruation with my wife. That if she's about to come on, that hormonally that has effects on me. That might just be an excuse for me to eat. I don't know if there's any studies on that, but if you guys notice that from a mood perspective I'm swinging a bit this way or that way or whatever, we can blame Mrs. Charm for that. It's her hormonal disruptions that are having an effect on me. Anyway, so what I showed you today, because what you'll see on the internet is people show you the best of themselves, right? And what I'm trying to do is show you some of the best elements of myself and some of my less desirable elements, and how I'm trying to correct or trying to adjust those to be more desirable aspects. So that lunch is delicious and got a lot of nutrition. My only issue with it is quite calorie dense, quite a lot of calories in it because it's got hummus in there, which is very calorie dense. There's oil as dressing, which is quite calorie dense. But all of that stuff can be kind of reduced down, I guess. But it's just wonderful and simple. And this is the thing, right? When you're eating healthily, and there's a difference, I think, between eating healthily and eating for weight loss. Those are two different things. You can have a healthy meal that could ultimately make it harder for you to lose weight. That meal, for example, is quite calorie dense, as I said. So there's quite a lot going on in there. and that if you're on a calorie deficit, if you're trying to keep a calorie deficit, like take in less calories than you're burning, then meals like that make it slightly more challenging, because it means that you have to have much less for the remainder of the day. Anyway, I'm not going to get into the weight loss stuff, but my aim is to maintain a sensible weight and to be healthy as much as possible, and to be getting it right 80-90% of the time. And you know, thinking about it now, I think actually, yeah, I am getting it right most of the time. I've had a bad couple of days, I've had a bad week, and this is just a reminder for myself to not let those bad moments, bad days, bad weeks become bad months or bad years. Now that my cough is tailing off, now that my energy levels are back to where they were, you know, there's absolutely no reason, God, there's a lot of smoke coming out of this, there's absolutely no reason why I can't start to do more physical exercises again. You know, walking is something that I really love doing and I've got back into recently, but also lifting heavy things and running are two things that I want to get back into as well, mainly because of the health benefits for that, and also the speed at which you can do them. Like a good weights workout or a good run, you can do in 25-30 minutes, depending on what you're trying to achieve, and then you're kind of done with that. You don't have to be hanging around for hours and hours and hours. And I'll show you some of the things that I'll be doing in that. But today it was about, what am I consuming food-wise? Why am I overeating at the moment? Why is that something? And I think I'm just trying to be more disciplined, just trying to be more aware of what I'm taking in. I think I hyped up the start of this year to myself, going, right, I had these visions in my head of like the things that I was going to be doing. And, you know, on a few of those things, I just haven't met my own expectations. And exercise was one of those. And I think being ill pushed that back. And then, you know, it always feels like one of those things that I'll start on Monday, I'll do it this day, I'll do it that day. Also, part of my problem is when I start these things, I become quite obsessive about them. So if I start exercising, I struggle to be moderate in terms of the amount of exercise I'm doing. You know, when I got into running some years back, it was like, there's a running joke between me and my friends is that we were signed up for a half marathon. I was still quite overweight, I was still smoking, I was not in a place really to be running a half marathon. But I signed up, we were doing it for charity and whatever. And about 2 days after signing up, I had watched a documentary called The Iron Cowboy, and this guy did like 52 Ironmans in 52 states in 52 days or something. It was mad. Anyway, I watched that and I was like, if this dude can do that, granted he was, an athlete, he was, well trained for it. If he can do that, then I can run a half marathon. So I literally got up, put my shorts and my trainers on, and went out and ran a half marathon with no training, just plodded. It was long, it was tough. So the running joke between me and my friends is that my training for a half marathon is to go and run a half marathon. Because I think so much of what we do is mental. There obviously is a physical element, there obviously is training, I'm not putting that down at all, but so much of it is like, do you believe you can do this? And I think after watching that documentary, I was like, how can I not do it? How can I not do it? And it was tough, but I got round. I've done half marathons where I was better equipped and better trained that were harder than that one, because I just didn't have the mental capacity to get myself round. So it made it really, really difficult for me. So I think the food stuff and the exercise stuff is much more of a mental game for me, being in a position where I'm like, yes, I'm ready to do this. Yes, I'm ready to take the next step. Yes, I'm ready to commit myself to it. And when I'm in it, it's fine. When I'm in it and I'm doing it, there's no issue. Like I know that I'm capable, and it doesn't feel like I'm missing out on anything. That's the important thing, right? You look at that meal that I made there. It's absolutely delicious. You should try it. You should try and make it. It's super simple. Forget about the fact that it's plant-based. Forget about the fact that it's vegan. Whatever. It is simple. It's delicious, and it's super easy to make. When I'm eating that, I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. don't feel like I'm missing out on, I wish I had some meat with this. I don't feel like I'm missing out on, I wish this was junk food. I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. I'm just enjoying the food and I'm enjoying it. And I think that's the thing is, you only feel like you're going to miss out before you start these things. Once you're in it, once you're doing it and you're seeing the results and you're enjoying it, and you're making the right choices and you're seeing results, but also the food is good and the drink is good and the exercise feels good, you don't feel like you're missing out on anything. You feel like you're gaining something, if anything. And then, having your treats, having your things that you go to sometimes, as long as they're in moderation. The difficulty is, though, that you can never trick yourself into thinking that you're immune to slippage, that you're immune to making mistakes. Like, I can have this now. I've hit my weight goal. I can have this now. It's fine. That's fine to do, but making sure you're keeping that mental token of going that there is a cost to everything that I do. There is a cause and effect to everything that happens in my life, with the food, with the exercise, with everything. And I need to ask myself, with any of these things, am I willing to deal with the consequences of this? And am I mentally in a place where, eating this is not going to send me into a spiral? I honestly think, I've not taken drugs and I've not been a drug addict, so making that comparison is ridiculous. But I think having a poor relationship with food, or having a relationship with food where it's like, you struggle to control how much you consume, really feels like it's got some of those traits of addiction to me. It really feels like you have to be so careful with it. It's so easy to slip back into it. And I've yo-yoed up and down in weight all my life. Anyway, I've got a cup of tea. I'm sat by a fire, smoky as balls fire. I've just had a wonderful lunch with my wife, and I'm grateful to be doing what I'm doing. So I appreciate you guys watching. Please do hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I'd love to have you as part of the community. And let me know what you want to see me doing. Oh, Jesus Christ, that's a lot of smoke. Let me know in the comments what you want me to do next. What do you want me to show you about my life? What do you want me to show you about my routine? If you see something about me where you go, you know what, Charm, I don't think you're getting that right. Why are you not looking at this? Let me know, and we'll try and figure out a way to test, where I am, what I'm doing, and how I can be better. I appreciate you guys. I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you on the next one.